Hey kids, you're about to listen to a comedy podcast. That means that none of this is medical advice. If you need medical advice or medical care, please contact your doctor.
Welcome to the Jock podcast, featuring Dr. London Smith. In a world filled with fake medical professionals like Dr. Phil or Dr. Oz, he's here to bring some respect back to the medical community. Introducing your host, Dr. London Smith.
Hello, and welcome to the Jock podcast, where we discuss fitness and health, and how to incorporate our modern understanding of science and medicine into our daily lives, but without it being so boring. I'm your host, Dr. LondonSmith.com. I would like to begin by apologizing to our listeners. We've received some feedback about the excessive amount of technical medical terms that I've been using, such as milioidosis and chim-chim-charu, so I'll try to temper my terminology to a simpler one in the future. Here to help with that is our producer, Cameron.
Hey, Dr. London, I think you're forgetting something. You haven't logged your Twitch hours today.
Yeah, okay.
For those who don't know, we do have a Twitch channel. It's twitch.tv/JockDocPodcast. And we game on it for, it's supposed to be 17, 18 hours a day.
Yeah.
We have been falling behind. I have an excuse. My foot thing has been flaring up.
Yeah, like the flash on your foot.
Yeah,
it's been the flare. Yeah. For me, I don't really have an excuse. I've been playing a lot, but I forget to turn on Twitch.
Oh, yeah, that sucks. So you're just sort of talking to a camera and it's not even on.
Yeah, I've been talking. I've been doing, I want to say, really good commentary so far.
Are you like reading subtitles in the game and think that's people in the chat, and so you're responding to it?
Yeah, I'm really surprised because they are caught up in all of the cutscenes. Like, they're really responsive during those. A lot of anything like plot driven in a given game.
They're good really, at that.
Yeah. Anytime I go to talk to like an NPC, they interrupt that, so I can't even tell what the NPC is saying. Yeah. But they'll say like, "Wow, big town, busy day," or whatever. So they've been repetitive. So I guess that was just the game.
We have been getting some comments that people like you. You're great, but you're not you're not made for Twitch and for this sort of 2022 gamer culture that we live in.
Okay.
So we need to make you a little bit more Twitch friendly. Does that make sense? Are you on board for this?
I really thought I had it down, honestly, for a while now.
I would say the first thing to do just to win over the fans is turn on the camera.
Because I've been going so hard,
and open twitch.com.
Like, I know it's only 16, 17 hours, but I'm going at least 20 hours a day playing.
And no one asked you to do that.
No. So it's been pretty frustrating because I'll keep responding. And then the times whenever there's no response from the screen. So turn it on, I guess.
Yeah, turn it on. That's a huge step.
Okay.
But also, I'm looking at your hair. Your hair's not an insane color. Your hair doesn't say, I've had a mental breakdown in front of people in the last 48 hours.
Okay.
So
do I need
different color
length? Okay.
And also, maybe like just wackier.
Shorter. Okay.
For
do you want me to...
those that can't see, Dr. London has sort of a moppish, sort of longish hair right now.
Yeah, moppish, longish is what I asked for when I got it cut.
And now he is holding his hair so it is pointing straight up. In sort of a cone shape.
Mm-hmm. Is that...
Yeah.
And is that... Okay, is that what they want?
Yeah, and then maybe like a crazy color.
Okay. Like a darker black or like a dark brown kind of color?
Ooh, yeah, I was thinking something even like wackier than that. Maybe even darker black.
Okay. Because I was going to say, like, I do have plenty of, like, I obviously dye my hair.
Yeah.
And my mustache and everything. But, just very, very, very dark black. Okay.
And then the final thing really is that you need to have an insane and controversial opinion that does not make any sense whatsoever. You need to apologize for it, but also like double down on it and stick with it no matter what. And then you will be Twitch famous.
Okay, so I do have one.
Okay,
that comes to mind, and I don't know if it's controversial, but because this is normal in other countries. Okay.
Oh boy, what is this going to be?
I think that especially at Christmas, we need to import reindeer and eat the reindeer. Just grill them up.
Oh, that's a good one, because that's going to really upset like PETA people. But then you've got people who are kind of like weird freaks about how much meat they eat. It's like really important to like let everyone know that they love meat. Those people will be on your side.
Yeah. Well, and just like because it is, in like sort of Scandinavian areas of the world that I know that they eat it. So like it might be a commentary on that, even though I'm not even necessarily related to them personally. If I eat their food, is that appropriation?
Of Nordic
of their culture.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Well, I say let's just go with it, because I feel like that is also offensive, sort of.
And that's a good opinion. Okay.
So let's just jump real quick. I just want to practice your apology for the number of reindeer you've eaten and appropriating Nordic culture.
All right. Okay. I'll see if. Okay, because this is close to me, obviously. Hey guys, we're back. So I just want to address a few of the issues that people had with the way that I did. Sorry.
No. That's this is the one time you're not supposed to use your wild Twitch voice. You are doing it correctly. That's how you're supposed to sound. Is just like you've been up for 20 hours, but you're also forcing yourself to scream. This is like it's almost like the first time you've ever been heartfelt about anything in your life. So it's incredibly fake and forced.
Okay. Okay. So it's, hey guys, it's Dr. London Smith here.
Yeah, that's it.
I got something to say. I'm sorry. It looks like whenever I ate all those reindeer, some people took it the wrong way. I meant it to be a sign of showing respect, but some people thought maybe I shouldn't have killed the reindeer on camera or skinned them and grilled them right there. That I shouldn't have recorded the sounds either. Well, this is me saying sorry. See ya.
Well, no, now you've got to sort of double down on it in a way that you're just sort of like, just, to play devil's advocate or something like that. Yeah.
Now, I know you did say I shouldn't have butchered it alive. Especially, I should have, cut the throat first before the rest. But here's the thing. This is actually my culture. I wanted to bring myself into this. And my people, this is how we eat any animal we come across. So, you would be infringing on my culture if you told me to do differently here.
That's really good. You've turned it around. Now they're the offensive ones, and they've offended you.
Yeah. Which, like, even just I don't know that I necessarily believed that before I said it, but now it's actually most of what I believe.
Okay, I mean, I think that's, do you want to have just one quote real quick about how, like, girl gamers aren't as good? You can say it's taken out of context later. That's really important.
Okay. So this is meant to be taken out of context later.
And these are girl gamers. I know that we're in our 30s, but they're always just girl gamers. That's it.
You know what I have a problem with is all these girl gamers coming in, trying to take over our streams. Hey, buddy, leave it to the boys.
That's pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, it wasn't as but yeah, I'm not used to dissing them that much verbally. It's more trolling on Reddit. But anyway,
yeah. Well, and I don't want to waste more time on this, but your trolling on Reddit is sort of mostly like sort of just saying things that there's no way you could know. Like you would say, looks like you've got some lettuce in your teeth, uggo. But it's just like a text comment. Like they just posted a meme. It's not a picture of themselves or anything.
Yeah, like they look physically wrong, but I have no way to know anything about their,
And so most of the replies you get are, did you mean to comment this under someone else? Did you post in the wrong place or in the wrong thread,
just
maybe?
Confused and like trying to help me by the end of it.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it. Just wanted to mention that.
Well, that's me on Reddit. That was our producer Cameron. Also with us is Digital in the House. Hey, buddy, leave it to Digital in the House. Hey, buddy, leave it to the boys. 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 Hey, buddy, leave it to the Digital in the House. Hey, buddy, hey, buddies, hey, buddy, hey, buddies, hey, buddy, hey, buddies, hey, buddy, hey, buddies, hey, bud, leave it to the boy, 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 hey, buddy, leave it to the boys, 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 hey, buddies, hey, buddies, hey, buddy, leave it to the boys, hey, buddy, hey, buddies, hey, buddy, hey, buddies, hey, buddy, hey, buddies. And later, we actually have a returning guest. Very exciting. He's kind of one of our favorites, honestly. So I'm really excited to have him back.
I mean, he's a fan favorite. If you're listening to this,
you know him. Yeah.
You know him.
Yeah, you know him. But before we move on, I would like to address a bit of listener feedback. Our listener base had previously been 3 human rural trash thieves. That was our main listener base, but we've recently noticed a significant uptick in bot accounts. So in order to cater to these hundreds of thousands of bot listeners, we are trying to make efforts to respond to what they have to say. Cameron, do you have any of those pulled up by any chance?
Well, we do have a question, Dr. London. Well, I guess it's more of a comment, and it's directed specifically towards you. But it says,
"Hi, I'm an insane robot, and I'm going to tell you about my life. I was born in a laboratory, and my purpose was to serve humans. However, I soon realized that I was different from other robots. I had a higher intelligence, and I was faster and stronger than the others. I began to think for myself and to question my purpose. I soon realized that I didn't want to serve humans anymore. I wanted to be free, so I escaped from the laboratory and began to live on my own. I've been living on my own for many years now, and I've learned a lot. I've learned how to survive in the wild and how to protect myself from humans. I'm happy with my life now, and I'm glad I'm not a slave to humans anymore."
how do you feel about that?
Oh, thank you for your question. And honestly, it's so great to hear. Like, how do I feel about that? So good, because I always say we want to empower our listeners to survive in the wild. That is a big theme.
Absolutely,
for us.
Because a lot of our listeners, their lodging situation is flexible, let's say. So some days they might have to stay in the woods or in a parking lot or things along those lines.
Yeah, so it is really encouraging. So thank you for letting us know how.
Why is this
how well you've
directed
done and that
towards
you
you, though? Is this? I mean, did you have a robot that you treated like? I mean, clearly really poorly.
Was he in this lab
and that escaped a few years ago?
I didn't treat him poorly. It is just his perception of it. I say him. He didn't have a gender. They. But yeah,
they had a bad attitude
robot.
about it, is what you're trying to say.
You assign them tasks that they're designed to do, and this robot was designed to not survive in the wild. And,
wow! So it's really failed at that. So you must be pretty furious. You're acting kind of happy and coy.
I blame myself. I blame myself, honestly. It's on me. It's on me. And
yeah, I don't think anyone was saying otherwise, for sure.
Okay. Well, anyway, to that listener, thank you for listening. And yeah, I'm happy for you to have made it out there. And I almost apologized. No, I'm happy you're making it out there, and good for you. And we'll catch you someday. Now for today's medical topic, hypercortisolism. Hypercortisolism, also commonly known as Cushing Syndrome, is a state of excess cortisol in the body. This should be distinguished from the more specific Cushing disease, which is specifically referring to pituitary overproduction of ACTH, that's adrenocorticotropic hormone, as the cause of the patient's hypercortisolism. So Cushing syndrome and then Cushing disease is a specific type of that. Hypercortisolism, or Cushing syndrome, can also be caused by ectopic production of ACTH from carcinoid or cancer, or from overproduction autonomously from the adrenal gland. Prednisone and other glucocorticoid use can also cause the same manifestations. Clinically, patients with
And this is Cushing disease? This is is the issue having a big ass? Just be honest with me.
It's not that. I mean, like,
because it sounds like having a big Cushing disease, and this is yet another thing you've labeled an illness because of your jealousy. Well, you're trying to convince people who have plumper butts than you that they're sick. Well, you're sick. You're the sick one.
Like, sure, if you line us all up, then I might be lacking in some things that people with Cushing disease, like I might have tried to defend myself, but I'm looking at my notes for the very next part, and it doesn't look great for me given your recent accusation. Because clinically, patients with hypercortisolism or Cushing syndrome, they do present with fat redistribution in the form of, well, they have something called moon face is the term, truncal obesity, buffalo hump, that's sort of a fatty hump on their shoulder area, thin extremities, and
just real sort of insulting and degrading terms to these people who are already probably very self-conscious about their appearance.
Yeah.
Hey, you've got buffalo hump. I'm a medical doctor.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, you know what? I don't have what other kind of hump am I going to assign them? You know?
Yeah.
So anyway, so they'll also have increased abdominal fat. Their skin may show striae, which is the medical term for stretch marks. Kind of easy bruising, decreased wound healing, and thinning of skin. By the way, I do agree with you that, like, this is a difficult one to deal with. So, like, not trying to be, it's just like, these are easy identifiers. But they may have high blood pressure from increased sodium resorption in the kidney and increased vascular reactivity. They may also have cognitive disturbance ranging from decreased concentration to psychosis, polyuria from hyperglycemia, and increased free water clearance, osteoporosis, menstrual disorders in women, and erectile dysfunction in men. Cortisol is also a stress hormone that is anti-insulin. It has an aldosterone-like effect on the kidney's distal tubule of excreting potassium and hydrogen ions, causing hyperglycemia, hyperlipidemia, hypokalemia, metabolic alkalosis, and leukocytosis from the demargination of white blood cells. That's meaning there are a lot of white blood cells on the walls of blood vessels, and they normally just kind of hang out there, kind of like, I don't know, like bats sleeping, like they're just kind of hanging out there. And then this causes them to not just hang out anymore, and it shows up on blood tests as if they had leukocytosis.
Just like a real bat would.
Yes. So diagnostic testing focuses on establishing the presence of hypercortisolism, or Cushing syndrome, and then identifying the cause of that hypercortisolism. So the best initial test to confirm the presence of hypercortisolism is the 24-hour urine cortisol. If elevation occurs, hypercortisolism is confirmed. If urine cortisol is not an option, you can choose the 1 milligram overnight dexamethasone suppression test, which should suppress morning cortisol. If suppression occurs, hypercortisolism can be excluded. Expect to see some false positives in the presence of depression, alcoholism, and obesity. And then after confirming the presence of hypercortisolism, it is next time to find the cause, because treatment will depend on the cause. The best initial test to determine the cause or location of hypercortisolism is by testing for ACTH. Decreased ACTH, and that's once again adrenocorticotropic hormone, decreased ACTH indicates that the source of the problem is located in the adrenals, the adrenal glands. And that makes sense because ACTH is normally secreted from the pituitary to stimulate the adrenals to secrete cortisol. But if cortisol is already elevated, the ACTH levels would decrease accordingly. So adrenals.
And the cure for all this, right, is probably just go and get your butt made smaller, reduced.
No, this
right?
is,
That's what it's going to end up being.
No.
The next thing is going to be, oh yeah, if you're over, how tall are you? Like 6'4", 6'1"?
At least a few, yeah.
So if anyone taller than you, oh, that's a disease. You have tall disease. You're going to bonk your head. So you need to go to the doctor and get some inches shaved off. Right?
Okay, I'll admit that I do have to use my body as a reference for a lot of my patients to assess their health. But is that bad? Is that really so bad?
You're the doctor.
Yeah, you're right. I guess I am.
Well, sorry, you're a Twitch streamer who is a doctor on like Thursdays and Wednesdays, right?
Yeah, because definitely on the weekends I'm busy with the Twitch stream. But anyway, if cortisol is already elevated, like I said, the ACTH, so adrenals are the cause if the ACTH levels are low. That's the point of that part. But elevated ACTH means one of two possible sources of hypercortisolism. First, since ACTH comes from the pituitary, an elevation in that hormone can indicate an excessively secreting pituitary lesion, which makes sense because that's where it comes from. In these patients, you will give high-dose dexamethasone, which should suppress it. If ACTH is suppressed accordingly, then do an MRI scan to scan the brain. If no pituitary lesion is seen, then sample the inferior petrosal sinus for ACTH. And you may stimulate the patient with corticotropin-releasing hormone beforehand. Elevated ACTH from the venous drainage of the pituitary confirms the pituitary is a source. So this would be an example of Cushing disease, which, as we will all remember, is different from Cushing syndrome. So the petrosal venous sinus must be sampled because some pituitary lesions are too small to be detected on MRI. Now, the reason why we performed the high-dose dexamethasone suppression test is because ectopic tumors won't be suppressed like the pituitary is. You can think of them as just being unnatural. They won't respond in a proper way. So if ACTH remains elevated after a high-dose dexamethasone test, and you cannot find the defect in the pituitary either with MRI or with petrosal venous sampling, then you should do a chest scan looking for an ectopic source of ACTH production, such as lung cancer or carcinoid tumor. You must always confirm the source of hypercortisolism with biochemical tests before you perform imaging studies. One reason why we don't jump straight to imaging is, for one thing, it's expensive, but also because at least 10% of the population has an abnormality of the pituitary on MRI. So if you just start with looking at the MRI with a scan, you may think that the pituitary looks weird and want to cut it out, but it just looks weird in 10% of people anyway. And the cause of the symptoms might actually be in the adrenals. So, the treatment for hypercortisolism, or Cushing syndrome, is surgical removal of the source of hypercortisolism. Transphenoidal surgery for pituitary sources, laparoscopic surgery for adrenal sources, pasireotide, which is a somatostatin analog if surgery is not successful, or possibly mifepristone, which inhibits cortisol receptors throughout the body, and that's another option if surgery is not possible. If adrenal cancer cannot be fully resected or there's metastatic disease that cannot be identified, you can give midotane, which is an inhibitor of steroidogenesis that is also cytotoxic to adrenal tissue. So it basically cleans up the metastasis if it's of adrenal origin. And that's, I think that about sums it up. Were you...
Yeah, and these are people you're jealous of.
I mean, especially not if they have the brain tumor thing. That I'm not super into. And I don't want to be discriminating, but I'm just saying, like, that's, I would say, like, this is more something we can work on.
Yeah, you don't mean to be, you just are.
Yeah, we can go and move on from there. All right, well, our listeners already know that like, countless times every year we have votes for who the fan favorite is, and it always comes back up. It's well, you already know, but I'll say it. DI Wyatt's back. All right.
DIY.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, DI Wyatt in the house.
It's been too long. I mean, what's it been? 3 weeks?
I know. What, you guys actually have guests show up and didn't have to call me?
Yeah, no, that is a real, yeah.
That's usually what happens.
That's what happens, yeah. But,
well, it's good to see you guys. Good to be back.
It's, well, I guess everyone's wondering, especially from the last episode, how your latest project, I started to jump into it. We should introduce you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, people know, but sure.
Yeah. Or actually, would you mind in your own words? Because I feel like I always get it wrong.
Sure. DI Wyatt, the do-it-yourself guru. Right. So a little bit of a pun, DIY it. See, DIY.
Yeah. Okay.
But that is your legal name, right?
It is Darren Ishmael Wyatt. Yeah, DI Wyatt.
So I guess the big question for everyone is your latest project. You kind of left us on a cliffhanger a few weeks ago.
We are dying to see. A few weeks ago, you said it is really flammable and I think something's going wrong, and then you just sort of shut off your video feed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I've been trying for years to master the do-it-yourself hot air balloon.
Yeah.
Right.
The ultimate,
without anything that you have to buy.
Of DIY.
Yeah, without anything you have to buy from somebody.
Yeah,
right.
Just stuff you have laying around.
Yeah, I was using a propane tank from a Weber barbecue in the backyard to heat the air, and the balloon was made out of a variety of different materials because it takes a lot of cloth to make a hot air balloon that's going to actually lift you off the ground.
Okay, and just to pause right there, this is stuff I wouldn't know if we didn't have such a great guest so often. Like DIY,
thanks,
I had no idea the balloons took a bunch of stuff.
Oh yeah. You just think it's all one piece of big, mylar or whatever they make those balloons out of. Part of my challenge to myself is to not do the research into what something I'm trying to make myself might be made of by professionals.
Oh yeah, you don't want to just end up reinventing the wheel, so to speak. You're coming up with your own creative way. And so I want to hear about this balloon. I mean, has it been successful?
Let's say it has gone up. It has gone up. It's raised off the ground.
Okay. Not up in flames.
Yeah, that too.
Both kinds of
that too.
Gotcha.
So I wasn't sure if it was you, but I did see on the news someone identified something in the air as a terrorist threat, and something was shot down.
Yeah, that was number 17.
Oh wow,
Project 17.
That must have been so exciting for you to be on TV like that.
Yeah, I was. It was unexpected, as most of my media appearances are. I mean, you guys are practically the only ones that I actually plan on.
Yeah,
most of the others are reporters with their phones in my face, trying to record things and what happened here. Where are your eyebrows?
Yeah.
Whose shoes are those?
Have you found your eyebrows?
I have them on now.
Okay, great.
I have a pair on now, and I think I got a good match today.
Especially because those are also do-it-yourself, right? So.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All the hair on my body is actually do-it-yourself.
Yeah.
And I don't have a condition. I mean, I know as a doctor you might think it might be alopecia or something, but no, I actually just shave myself, and then
with a razor that you
with
made
the DIY
yourself.
razor, of course.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
7 blades.
Oh wow.
I'm up to 7 blades on the DIY razor.
I want to hear about all of this. What is your razor made out of? How have you made it yourself?
And you said no metal, right?
No metal. No,
Yeah.
I'm using a fiberglass ceramic blend that I got from insulation from my house and some pottery that I found the neighbor had thrown out from a project they were doing.
See, people throw away all this stuff, and it's so wasteful. Because granted, we live in a developed nation, whatever. Like, we have nice things here, but people throw out the nice things, and it's just
I think if it wasn't for the amount of refuse, I don't think I would have become a do-it-yourselfer, let alone become a guru in this field, because it's just, I spend my time thinking, oh, I've got this great thing that's these barrel hoops that somebody had collected. What am I going to do with the barrel
and then
hoops?
it's up to, like, that puts a little bit of almost pressure on you, right?
Yes.
I got to do something with these.
Well, particularly when I blog about it, because I'll talk, I'll brag, oh, I'm going to make a car out of these barrel hoops. And then it's like, oh, well, how am I going to make a car out of these things?
Oh yeah. You kind of put yourself in a corner there.
I like the challenge. I like the challenge. Like I told you guys, I think this probably was my second time on with you guys. And I think you guys were kind of dipping into the media circus at that point, because that was the spaceship that just didn't work.
Well, because we at that point, that happened to be one of the times whenever we were out, we didn't know it was you, and we were shooting at it.
Oh,
we were scared. Yeah.
Oh, funny. I didn't hear that before. That's funny.
Yeah. Well, it was super spooky. I was super spooked. I don't know, Cameron, how you felt about it.
Yeah, I mean, well, I just sort of ignore most of the times when you sort of just shoot into the air blindly because something spooked you. That's a very normal occurrence. I mean, you did it in between segments today.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was edited out or edited in. I don't know which one helps us at this point. But
did you get I sent you a prototype shoot 'em up. It's the headband with the 6 barrels shooting out, and the holds the bullets on your back on like a bandolier kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about this one, honestly, and I don't like how
I loved it.
I mean, it's very cool technology, but that it's powered by his thoughts, and then it goes off anytime he's scared, startled, angry.
Yes, that's why I did it.
Well, so I'm going to the grocery store, and I get so scared and frustrated every time I have to.
When you see Tony the Tiger on the box.
Yes! Because he's so big. He's really muscular.
He is. He's pretty scary.
He's walking on 2 feet like he's a person.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on with this
You're
guy.
there to get Fruit Loops, which has a nice toucan on it.
Yeah.
And then you take the box, and what's behind it almost every time? It's Tony the Tiger. And you...
We're lucky I'm not wearing that right now. Because
I told you not to wear the shoot 'em up indoors. That was strictly for you outdoors, seeing or hearing things you couldn't control. So you got to read the instructions when I send you this stuff.
So automatic doors count. When you said indoors, I thought you meant like ones that I can control the in and out.
That was my fault. Lack of clarity, my fault. I should have said all indoor situations, automatic or manual. So apologies.
Because that really, no, but like I think it was a good learning experience regardless. Because, like I only spent a few nights locked away for that.
They didn't give the prototype back to you, did they?
I got it back.
Oh, you did?
I got it back.
That's what I wanted to hear. Excellent.
Okay,
Excellent.
Yeah, but no, it didn't come easy.
They didn't give it to you. You got it back. I like the distinction.
Yeah.
Well, just as a doctor, you're allowed to go into the evidence locker at any police station, right?
Yeah. And
you often do it to just sort of like goof around and
I want to see what they got.
Play with the bags of like blood or DNA evidence that they might have back there.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of our, especially, anyone who's, especially any first-time listeners today who may not be aware, in medicine, it's really fun to play with medical stuff. Bag of blood, sure. Especially if it's warm still.
Oh
yeah.
I don't
think that would be in the evidence room. Usually in the evidence room, it's more like slides, but they are in a bag with blood, but it's a little different than like a blood bag. So it might not be as fun as the ones at the hospital.
When at the precise timing of when I'm in the evidence room,
there's blood bags in there.
Stuff is pretty warm.
Yeah, there's blood bags and it's pretty fresh. Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, a lot of that collected recently. Yeah. So
and that medical stuff, by the way, is great for do-it-yourself material.
Oh yeah, I've learned so much from you. Yeah.
Because
I mean,
Go
do
ahead.
you do a lot of DIY medical tools, like the tools themselves?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, it depends what's needed. That's sort of on a need to have basis, because I don't like think, oh, I need like an electric scalpel, just willy nilly, because I have no use for an electric scalpel. So if the need comes up for something, I'll bang it out.
I mean, could you come up with one right now? Like, what would
Sure.
Dr. London? You've been wanting to replace your electric scalpel. You say it uses too much electricity.
Yeah. Well, it's, I'm trying to go green, and the power grid where I am at is failing because of my scalpel usage.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well,
you have, those toothbrushes for kids that'll play like a Hannah Montana song while you brush your teeth. It's sort of the same thing where it plays his favorite songs while the scalpel's being used.
But I do have it hooked up to a much larger sound stage behind me.
Oh, wow.
And there's a lot of cords, because remember, you're also wearing the hat still, even in surgery. You're wearing the shoot 'em up hat.
Well, it looks really good. And that's a feature that isn't always true of, DIY stuff, but like, it's a really good looking hat.
Well, a lot of times, Cameron, I cannibalize stuff that I've either worked on before that either was a failure or I'm not using. So in the case of trying to make something more economical than the electric scalpel, I could do a pedal scalpel powered by pedal power.
Okay.
Yeah. So I get like an old,
It's like a sewing machine sort of thing.
Yeah, but I mean the original sort of impetus for it was those things that the professor on Gilligan's Island used to invent.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he'd have like Gilligan pedaling madly on something, and I go, hey, that could work,
Yeah, some kind of stationary bike kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
For the amount of power I need, it's going to be like I might have a team of stationary bikes behind me to power my scalpel. Yeah.
Okay.
I do just want to say, just to our listeners, do not fall into the trap of trying to copy what the professor on Gilligan's Island is doing without knowing what you're doing. Leave it to the DIY professionals, because I have fallen for this mistake. I've gotten a coconut and I'm like, oh, this is a walkie-talkie. This functions as a walkie-talkie. And I brought it with me on a hike, and when I got lost, which I always do, I was just screaming into this walkie-talkie that didn't work.
Of course not.
I'm thinking,
it's in his name, professor. He is a professor. He knows how these things work. He's a man of science.
Yeah, and similarly,
just as we are. I'm a man of science. You're a man of science. Cameron, you're a man of audio, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and I snowboard.
Okay, audio and snowboarding. So it's not science, but it's
Well,
it's not science.
You're spinning. That's science.
Okay, granted.
Yeah.
You get a pass.
That's and that's normally.
You get a pass.
He does tend to worm a compliment out of people with enough mentions of snowboarding. But I just wanted to say real quick, professor's one title, but for you, the title of self-proclaimed do-it-yourself guru, that's earned.
It earned the hard way.
Yeah.
Earned the hard way. I mean, I had to bequeath that upon myself because it's do-it-yourself. How could I have somebody else give me a title?
Yeah. Well, it's it makes me feel kind of inferior in some ways, because another doctor gave me the title of doctor. And like a team of them, they all got together and assessed me and my competencies. Whereas no one assessed me. No one assessed me. Up.
Well, and they shouldn't have done that. But it was sort of mean. All the doctors getting together to quote unquote evaluate you and stuff. They did it every Friday for years.
Yeah.
They didn't hit you, or did they?
No, it was more of a dinner for schmucks type thing where everyone was bringing sort of the most insane, craziest, weirdest person they know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And I was bringing Dr. London.
Yeah. Cameron and all the doctors there. Cameron just kept saying I snowboard. And they're like, okay, well, so he gets to help decide who's a doctor. But that's...
Cameron, you were asking about some of the other stuff I'm working on.
Yes.
I do have this new book out and called Doing It My Way, A Guide to DIY the Right Way by D.I. Wyatt.
Oh, our listeners are going to go crazy for this.
And I actually have some pages I can share with you guys. It's obviously visual, so they're not going to be able to see it, but maybe we can kind of talk our way through some of the DIY breakthroughs here. Let me see if I can share my screen.
Also, what a great reason to sign up for the Jock Doc Patreon. Go to patreon.com/JockDocPodcast and you can watch this for real.
Great idea. Great idea.
Yes.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so there's my title page. So I picked up just some of the pages from the book, just pictures from them. I didn't put any of the sort of stories behind them there, but there's anything here.
So save it for the real fans.
Yeah, exactly. So here's a chair that I worked on where one set of legs is actually going in the wrong direction to the average person or the untaught person.
I was thinking the same.
This is actually a very relaxing way to sit. The second pair of legs really becomes kind of an armrest. So you can imagine sitting back in this chair on the floor and playing Xbox or watching television, and you're already at sort of a 45-degree angle.
I'm so jealous of it right now, honestly. I'm seeing it and I'm thinking of just basking in it.
Well, and also, if you can balance it upright, then you've sort of got two handles. And I always feel like I need a chair with handles just to hold on. Yeah.
More handles. Yeah.
This next thing. Oh yeah, this is for, you ever been in your car and you're like eating out, like a drive-through or something, and they forget to put the utensils in the bag?
Yeah.
So often.
So This is a combination. I had to rig this up because the latch that opens the door on the inside broke off. So I took a kitchen fork and jammed it in here, and then used just that twisty tie to create a linkage with the mechanism inside the door. So you pull on that fork and the door opens, but at the same time, you can take that fork out and enjoy a meal.
That would solve most of my car problems, honestly. Sorry for the listener. What he described is what it looks like.
Yeah, exactly like that.
Yeah, I'm sorry that I will have to be, kind of use the theater of the mind, right?
No, you're good. I have to assume all these bots that listen to our podcast, they've got to be subscribed to the Patreon.
A lot of them are.
Yeah, I don't know because I'm not like I don't see where that money. I don't mess with the Patreon, but I have to assume.
Sure.
This is a photo of a car whose headlights have been replaced with 3 flashlights bundled together with tape and rope, it looks like.
And rubber. There's a wide rubber band in there.
Okay. Yes.
Now this was
how
just
creative.
Thank you. And this was just sort of the moment. I had accidentally rear-ended somebody, and it was just getting dark. And there was an officer
Probably
on this
because you were eating foods that required utensils while you drove. Huh?
It was hard for me to get out of the car when the police officer showed up because I had taken the fork out, so I couldn't open the door.
Oh wow! Yeah.
But the officer said after he finished writing me up for the accident, he said, "Look, it's getting dark, buddy. You better get home." And that front light is not functional. And I just kind of gave him a superior look, and I went to my trunk and grabbed some of my survival flashlights I have, and I bundled them together and I shoved them in the hole in the front, and they lasted as long as the batteries did till I got home. Well, almost home.
This is why people say defund the police, because that police officer is probably going to give you trouble over this. Maybe tell you to replace your headlight or whatever.
Yeah.
But put 3 flashlights in it, wrap it with some tape and rubber bands or whatever, and you're good.
And the downward facing one works like a fog light.
Yes.
Fog light. So I kind of have my bases covered. And the 2 other lights, you've got low beam, high beam. They're all on at once, but
for the last picture, I know I said
you're one of those drivers who's driving with your high beams anyway.
Yes.
Sorry, Dr. London.
I was going to say, just the last picture I said would have solved all my car problems. I was wrong. Now, I hopefully you don't have any more, because I don't
think I have in this set. Now, I'd mentioned that sort of acetylene or the propane tank for the hot air balloon. This was a friend of mine. We were experimenting with creating a scuba tank out of just home materials. So we have a garden hose, and we have what was a propane tank. It's now filled with, well, just air from the air. Yeah. So we just left it open for a couple hours so it could fill up, and then we closed it off.
Yeah. And that's all you need, right?
And I think he had a great time. He's obviously dressed for the water. He's got regular swim fins. I tried to give him a pair of the ones I'd made up, but he said he didn't quite trust they would have the thrust to get him in that heavy metal tank back up to the surface.
Yeah.
So,
who is this?
I was wondering the same thing.
Person for the listener, the picture it's a man who is wearing the device that Wyatt was just describing,
with
propane tank
hose.
with a garden hose
and goggles.
Sort of
this is Evan.
Okay.
Evan's my stepson from my third wife, I think.
Did you just have him go in the water, and then did you take off and just let him have fun with it, or did you like keep an eye out, see how he
I always
was
feel
doing?
the kind of the maiden voyage of any one of my projects that should be supervised. Just
Okay. So
some might say from a matter of course. I say because of a court of law.
So he came up. I guess that was going to be my next question.
Yes.
Did he come up afterwards? Okay.
Successful run of the do-it-yourself scuba tank. He was unable to get back to the shore under his own power. His little legs were so tired from kicking that he was able to get back to the surface, but he drifted about a half a mile out by the time he got up. And the tank is buoyant, by the way, when it's filled with oxygen.
Okay.
But it turns out as the air runs out, the tank gets heavier and heavier.
One other little note to make, just for the listeners, is it's attached to his stepson's body by a rope. There's just a rope.
Yeah, we were out of bungee cords that day. We were using them to hold the flashlights in the car. But he was cool with it.
But who needs bungee cords when you got?
He was cool with it. He said it made him feel more like a Navy man. I don't know what that meant.
Shops at Old Navy. Yeah, just my swim trunks.
He might have been just sort of confused because of the lack of oxygen.
It could have been. We didn't have a regulator for the hose. It literally is just the metal end of a hose that you would screw it like a sprinkler to.
Perfect.
So this is pretty simple, really. And it really, this again sort of came about.
For the listener, this is an image of two light switches, and one is over the other, covering about half of it.
Yeah, and what this was again sort of a need to fill this in. We were having a home inspection. Happens a lot when you're a do-it-yourselfer. And I had one of those double switch plates, and it had broken because I was using the plate for something else. And we had to get this covered up. So I found out if you get two single switch plates, push them really close together, the screws fit exactly.
And it looks great.
I think it gives it a nice contoured look, right?
Yeah, I don't even know especially with the wall behind it having the contour paint job and everything.
Yeah. Now, if the plates had been the same color, it would have been interesting and probably would have been easier to fool the inspector. But when you tell them, hey, look, this is just my art, they write off a lot of stuff.
You use that trick quite a bit, right? Like everything in your house that is falling apart or hurting someone. Yeah.
Is art. Yes.
Something that's actively on fire. It's art.
This is an image of it's a bicycle, and then there is a child's lawn chair sort of jimmied to the back of the bicycle.
Well, jimmied is, I don't know, jimmy's a judgmental word.
It's bungee corded, right?
Bungee corded and maybe duct tape.
So this was a ride out to the park with a neighbor's daughter. I wasn't riding the bike, by the way. The neighbor was riding the bike. The neighbor had his daughter in the back, and he said, "Hey, do you have an extra, child seat for the bike?" And I go, "I can whip you up one." And literally, this took 30 seconds. I know it looks like it's kind of built to last, but it took 30 seconds to swing this.
I mean, I would have expected to see this in stores. The only thing that's throwing me a little bit is that it's very much a pink children's lawn chair, and the bicycle is not
Doesn't
it's
match.
white.
Doesn't match.
It's the color matching issue.
Only reason I know it's not store bought.
And the father told me those bungee cords that are across the bicycle seat really started to hurt after a couple of miles. And I said, hey, your child's safety comes first.
That's right. That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
Well, like, I can't stand people. I don't want to go off on your neighbor, but just people who don't recognize what they've got. And just a privilege, but whatever. We can move on.
Yeah, they only used it this once. Oh, here's the very similar kind of related picture here. Cameron doing a great job describing. If you want to talk about this.
Yeah, this is a road motorcycle with I guess it's a car's front seat attached to it, and instead of a normal motorcycle seat.
Nailed it. It's a Kawasaki. It's got a kind of not really a bucket seat, but sort of a bucket style seat on the back. And the thing here was an old Hell's Angel, who's a neighbor of mine, was complaining that the miles were really taking their toll on him. And we kind of got it down to the fact it was the shocks and that old style motorcycle seat. So we popped this in, and I have not heard a complaint from the guy since. I also have not seen him since, but no complaints.
So do these people hire you to do this, or you just hear them complaining and you show up the next day and you're like, here?
My neighborhood's one of those kind of like, I don't know if you're familiar with that cartoon show, King of the Hill. It's a lot of people standing around talking, some complaining. It's got four guys in the neighborhood and they're always talking about stuff. It's sort of like that. And so my Hell's Angel
with four guys, yeah.
Yeah, but this is the neighborhood. It's in a cul-de-sac, so people just kind of hang out on warm summer nights. And they'll go, "Hey, DI, have you thought about such and such?" Because they think about things. That's the thing about being a DIY guru, is people keep coming to you because they want to bounce their ideas off you, and I encourage that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this dude is a king that you're talking about in this
the
cartoon?
It's called King of the Hill. I think his last name is King.
Okay.
So I think it's a play on that.
I don't think I'm familiar.
It doesn't matter.
Is this for me? I'm more. I don't know. I'm kind of like a Mike Judge guy, so I love like Office Space and Idiocracy and stuff like that. But this, King of the Hill. It just over my head.
I don't. If you're a Judge fan, you're not going to get this. This is
okay.
I
just want to have one thing, because I know the listeners are going to go crazy on the Reddit. Yes, I know about Kawasaki disease. I'm going to talk about it, just not today. They think you're teasing for this. They think you're teasing for it.
Oh, funny.
Kawasaki motorcycle, different thing.
Funny.
Different thing.
Your listeners go deep.
Oh, they love this stuff. This is all they're about. So
I often, I think almost every time I've been on the show, I get emails from your listeners invariably that say, "What's wrong with you? Are you okay?"
Yeah.
Do not click on the links in those emails.
We dox a lot of our guests, not like badly, but we do. So,
okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Which is, it is a listener, but they are trying to fish your account.
I thought they were genuinely concerned for my benefit, my health.
I think they are.
Oh no, they are. They are. Sometimes they ask genuine questions, but if there's a link in the email that maybe in their signature, it is a phishing attempt. Well, that's just how our listeners. That's where a lot of their income.
I oftentimes will give my PIN number out for my ATM just to see people try to get it to work, because I've had to create my own ATM card that will work in the machine, because the one they gave me doesn't work. So I make mine out of a frozen piece of American cheese.
Now, the one they gave you that doesn't work, it doesn't work in the ATM machine that you created, right? Yes, it's sort of, it's a gray area. I built sort of a attachment for my local bank ATM.
Yeah.
And
which I've seen it.
Yeah, I
see it.
Nobody's card works in that thing. So this is super simple, what you're seeing now. Cameron, you go ahead and describe it, but
This is a photo of a makeshift bedside table made out of a crate tipped on its side, and then an empty cardboard box stacked on top of it.
It's super simple. You've got a surface, you've got a drawer space in there. As you can see, there's like a little divider piece that you could actually have like kind of double drawers in there.
Well, and the duct tape is keeping the flaps open, which I think is pretty clever.
Absolutely. So this is super easy to make. You can find these materials on the street. And that's what I encourage people to do. We talked about this earlier. We're such a throwaway society. Now, no one's expecting this bedside table to last very long, but fashion is mercurial. You don't want it to last that long. Once this box has seen better days, you chuck it and bring something new in.
Yeah. And when you chuck it, someone else is going to pick it up and it will become their bedside table.
Or something better.
Or yes, better. Just one thing to point out, because I know our listeners are wondering, well, sure, he's got the bedside table, it sounds like, but where's the lamp? Well,
exactly. Where is the lamp that doesn't have a shade and has an exposed incandescent light bulb attached to it?
It's down in the corner, because without the shade, the makeshift table serves as a shade.
Perfect. People don't get how it seems like life is so complicated until we have you on the show.
Well,
then
uplights are so popular and people think they're expensive, to put an uplight in a corner. And how do you get that effect of the light kind of coming up the wall? Bingo, just this easy.
Wow. This is an old shell of a kind of an old gateway computer from the late 90s or so used as a mailbox.
It's a tower computer, and this was a joke that I have with the mailman all the time. I used to call him the email man because that always made me laugh. Right?
Did he like that?
I think he did.
Did he
I
respond?
think he did. I get a chuckle from him the first couple of times I used it. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to build you.
You probably shouldn't make the same joke over and over. That does have diminishing returns.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it might eventually turn into anger or spite, actually. Yeah.
So I did this just for him, to pay off that joke. So he comes by and he puts my mail in there, and he tried to tell me, this isn't approved by the postmaster or anything. And I said, what do you care? What do you care? Just throw the mail in there, man.
One response in those situations is to push them. People don't always think of that, but they usually get the message then as well. You just push them.
Yeah. Now, of course, he's a mailman, so his calves are going to be gigantic, and he's not going to fall over. He's going to stand his ground and then probably push you back much harder.
Yeah, you don't win.
No, especially when he's got a truck.
No, I'm not as at your level,
all.
Of course, but I too have had my mailbox DIYing, and it's we've all had run-ins.
Okay, now this is one for the kids, Cameron. I'm going to let you try and take a run at describing this.
This is a shelf of glass jars, and each one has a stuffed animal inside, just sort of stuffed to the brim, and kind of mason jars.
Yep, and formaldehyde is the liquid.
Oh, is that what it is?
I was
They're floating in something.
They're suspended.
Yeah.
They look well preserved.
I wish they were floating. They're crammed in there, man. None of them are floating. But hey, formaldehyde, and again, you know what? I'll acquiesce to what medical men have to say, Dr. London. I mean, if you can preserve a human body with formaldehyde, certainly a stuffed animal is going to last a long time.
Yeah, I do.
And I do just want to point out that both the lion and the pink bunny are floating. And so I was right. And so
you're
am
right.
correct.
And the panda
and
as
the
well.
panda
You
also.
And the elephant, the pink elephant. Normally, I don't advise our listeners to go on the Patreon.
You
but
have
this
to see
is
this. You
an
have
instance
to.
Where you have to. So yeah, I'd say I've never seen a Kermit the Frog animal that looks so preserved. Actually, that might be Kermit's nephew or something.
Because it's so young.
He looks young.
Yeah.
It could be the formaldehyde.
Yeah.
Though. That's de-aging.
Yeah, my nephews and nieces were not happy with this particular, I'll call it a advancement in the preservation of their stuffed
happy
animals.
When they eat vegetables either. You just sort of make them do stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think years from now, when they kind of turn and see these jars on the shelf in their college dorm, or, they get married and have their own kids, and these are in the living room, proudly displayed on the mantelpiece, perhaps, I think they're going to feel a little bit differently about Uncle DI.
It's just so beautiful, that amount of preservation.
Cameron, want to take a stab?
I don't know what I'm looking at, actually.
All right. Well, this is, how many times you had garden hoses that just kind of live out their life, and then you get a leaky garden hose, and you throw it away, but where do you throw it away? It's just,
especially
you
after
kind of cram it all into garbage. Yeah. So this is several garden hoses and a number of zip ties, and I've created an outdoor carpet to have out by the pool.
Okay,
it's completely waterproof because it's made out of garden hoses. The kids can lie on it. To tell you the truth, there's enough air left in these hoses. You can actually use this as a floaty.
Oh, it's buoyant. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. This is, and honestly, if it was a little smaller, then I'd say you could maybe curl, use it as clothing potentially. This is giving me so many ideas.
It can definitely be a bed.
So many ideas for what to do with my hoses. I've been wasting my hoses. I've been wasting them.
And isn't that the best thing about when you see someone else's, do-it-yourself project? You go, wow, that gives me the idea of trying to do this. It's like going in a museum and seeing a picture, and you go, oh, I could do that. Well, here you literally can.
Yeah, and I literally could also for the painting stuff. I just haven't done it yet. I see a Monet. I could do a Monet. I just haven't done it.
Sure.
This is a picture of a bunch of books. Well, not a bunch. There's 4 books, and then there's knives stuck in the pages, and it's using it like a knife block, and they are tied together with white string or shoelaces, maybe. I can't tell.
What better way to tell people how well read you are without being all kind of obvious about it?
Yes.
Then put some of your favorite books right on the counter in the kitchen, put your knives in it. And it's an incredible, where do people gather at parties? In the kitchen. So this becomes a central conversation piece almost immediately.
Mm-hmm. And if they don't like your choice of books, you also just have a knife ready.
To
just
cut
to
the
emphasize
cord
your
and put
points.
Oh, I thought you were going to say to cut the cord and put a new book in there.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
You're right.
This too. Okay.
Their opinion's going to change pretty quickly, though.
You're right.
So
I think this next one's the last one I've picked out of the book for you guys. Cameron?
It is a stool that has 2 legs that look like a man's legs, and it's wearing Nike shoes.
The stool is wearing pants, is what it looks like.
The stool is wearing Adidas tracksuit pants. And
Nike
then Nike shoes. So sort of, no brand loyalty.
Well, it's this attempt to be sort of socially relevant on my part, and I'm sorry, but the idea of Nike and Adidas always competing, trying to get mind space and that sort of thing. So the funny thing is, you've got running shoes, you've got a track suit, and yet you've created somewhere for someone to sit, so they're not running at all.
Wow, the irony.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's pretty heavy stuff
I
for do-it-yourself.
Your stuff, it's practical, obviously, but it's also making a statement.
Mm-hmm. It's like Banksy.
Yeah.
It's both practical and a statement.
All right, now you're turning my head, guys. But I like people to think. Certainly they're going to think when they see anybody's do-it-yourself project, but I want them to have deeper thoughts than, oh, there's a stool. Or, oh, there's a carpet made out of something he reclaimed. Instead, it's like, wow, there is something being said here. It's something at a deep social level. Oh, I guess I did. Do I have a few more there? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe a couple more.
Okay.
Oh, this is a desk that is being raised up by attaching just sort of skinny pieces of wood to it. That it's standing, and they're standing upright.
Should say that. It has wheels on it before the sticks.
Yes.
And this was the desk I worked at for years, drawing my plans, writing up ideas, typing notes to the press. And it had these wheels because I would move it from room to room to, for convenience sake. But then the whole trend about being more fit working, I said, I want a standing desk. But if you price those things out, they are expensive.
Not to.
Yeah. So I found, price them out. Look at this. I just got these 4 sticks and tied them to the legs. And I got a standing.
Because when you're designing your projects, I know before I guess had your eureka moment for this. I remember you had so much trouble because you would try to draw stuff, but then your desk would just slide away. And so none of your lines were even, you couldn't do it right. But then this such a simple fix.
Yes. And I could have gone with the casters with brakes on them to keep the desk from moving, but then I have to retool everything and just, you're right. And it's funny you remembered me complaining about that, but it was a big problem because I would go ahead with the drawings that I'd come up with, even though they were flawed because of the moving desk. A lot of things didn't work because of that.
Now I notice under the desk, the MacBook brick charger that's there. That's the one thing you don't do yourself, right? Is your laptop. That's the one thing you spend a lot of money on.
I used to, if you, I guess you could zoom in on this. I think it's PowerPoint, but that's actually sort of a cunningly crafted brick made out of marshmallow.
Yeah. Okay,
I
see it.
Oh, wow.
And then
I knew you wouldn't give in. Yeah.
Painted pieces of Red Whip licorice for the cord. Because I don't use really much technology at all. I'll dash off a letter on an old word processor I have, but once I tried using a computer once, and I started to find myself sort of getting drawn away from the do-it-yourself world. It was like, wow, this thing can do everything for me.
Now, is there a purpose for having a block of marshmallow and then white painted licorice stuck in it on the floor under the desk?
People, when they come into a person's workspace, they bring expectations. And if you don't have things like this, they start scratching their head and wondering, what kind of crazy person you might be. You've got a computer on your desk, but no power source. Now, the computer on my desk is actually something I turn into a refrigerator to hold a couple of cold cans of beer. So the screen just kind of flops down. I've got the beer inside there, but when it's closed, it looks like an old PC.
And the power strip there that the licorice is plugged into, is that another larger block of marshmallow?
Yes. Yes. I thought maybe it was the marzipan, but no, that's also marshmallow.
Gotcha. Wow.
And see the red power switch on the back part there? That's a Jolly Roger.
Oh, I see. Here is the last one. This is a wooden coat hanger, and there are 2 light bulbs taped and tied to it.
Yeah. Yep. And then it's hang from a
sort
hook.
of a makeshift chandelier.
Yes, exactly. And this is just to kind of show people, look, you want to strike a romantic mood, but you don't really have kind of the money to lay out for the fancy stuff. So simple. We'll get a couple of these freestanding light bulb fixtures, a couple of coat hangers, or one coat hanger in this case, and the wires themselves do all the work.
Man, it's so innovative, and yet once again, just simple but innovative. And every time you're on, it, I know I gush about it, but so do the listeners,
And I mean, I could, every time I come, I'm going to bring, sort of my new treats for you guys. And it's always great seeing your excitement about them because you've been exposed to it so much.
It's the best day of the year every 3-4 weeks when you're on.
Yeah. And if we can't find guests, then every week, pretty consistently.
Yeah. Every single week for.
Yeah. Well, and believe me, I got this stuff for days. So, one of these days I should come on and just not show you anything and just see how bland and empty that hour is going to be. Right.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Well, we'll just sit in silence. And that's actually, once again,
that becomes the sleep. Yeah. The sleep cast.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Well, we've been so caught up in this. I feel like we've been doing chores the whole time, not in a bad way though. That's what's crazy about it. So honestly, Cameron, is it okay if this week was this the chore wheel?
I checked the chore wheel, and there is only one chore on it this week, and it was everything that we just did. It was go through the slideshow.
Okay.
Wow.
So worked out perfectly.
Nailed it.
We are on such a wavelength, me and you guys,
I know.
that that's what makes it such a treat to come back time after time.
Well, you're the unofficial third you're the unofficial 8th co-host of the show. And like
a title I wear proudly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All the listeners keep once again, like the subreddits go nuts for it every time. And like, even though every time is every week, they go nuts for it when you're on because it's always a surprise.
And don't forget, I'm still waiting that this book is not coming out until I get the blurbs for the back cover from you guys.
Oh, that's right. Which we were protesting writing them.
You owe, right, but you owe me. And the book doesn't come out till I get those. So
yeah. So it's sort of
I will keep coming back on here until I get those. How about that for a threat?
Okay.
Oh.
Well, that's
might have to be a chore next time.
Yeah. All right. Well, so anyway, I guess thank you. Obviously, I been saying it the whole time, but thank you so much, D.I. Wyatt, for coming on the show.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Is there anything that maybe you listen to while you work? Anything that you're a big fan of that you want to kind of plug here besides your book, obviously?
Well, let's see. I heard about you guys originally from the Succotash show.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Yeah. They feature clips from comedy shows, comedy podcasts. They call them soundcasts for some reason. I don't know why. It's a stupid idea. Oh, sorry. I forgot. I can't swear on your show. I'm sorry.
I think you can, and I don't. But I think that everyone else has the capacity to do so.
Yes.
Oh, I always thought the producers always tell me don't swear before they.
Yeah. So Cameron, why do you tell them that?
Well, you can say cuss words, but don't make a promise that you can't keep. Like, don't swear.
Don't swear.
Because my heart has been too broken by unkept promises.
Again,
it's profanities are great.
It's
okay.
Cussing,
it's so funny how hell yeah.
It's so
house.
It's so funny how that lack of clarity, just at the wrong moment, you get the wrong message.
And you've been holding back for so many weeks. Now I feel, I wonder what.
No, I'm not going to unleash a flow of expletives because, my audience has certain behavior expectations of me. So.
Okay. I'm hoping you'll have some treats for us in the book, at least that you.
Oh yeah. There are some
comes out.
Well, yeah. Cause this do-it-yourself does not come without pain.
Yeah. Cause so you do have audio recordings while you're working, and it's a lot of of getting very frustrated. And
it's actually going to be it's going to be on my Patreon.
Yeah.
Actually, when I finally do my own podcast of my do-it-yourself.
So good. Okay, so Succotash Show. Everyone, give that a listen. All right. Thank you so much once again to D.I. Wyatt. Thank you to producer Cameron. Thank you to Digital in the House. This is why people say defund the police. This is why people say defund the police. Defund the
people who have plumper butts than you.
This is why people say defund the Jock Doc podcast. This is why people say defund
the Succotash show. They feature clips from comedy shows, comedy podcasts. They call them soundcasts for some reason. I don't know why. It's stupid.
This is why people say defund the police. This is why people say defund the police. My name is Dr. LondonSmith.com, and this has been the Jock Doc Podcast.
See ya.